Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. I think this is the 5th video in my 2020 propagation series, and the thanks, Crow. Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the 5th video in my 2020 propagation series. Up here in the corner, I'll link a playlist with all my irrigation videos. I've got lots of different techniques that I've shown over the years, some more simple than this, and some actually more complicated. This year I'm using this electronic leaf here that as it dries out, it simulates a leaf here. It comes up, turns the water on. The weight of the water weights the leaf down and turns it back off. And so basically, as it dries out, the leaves on my cuttings are drying out about equal, and there's an adjustment on the back that allows you to fine adjust how often it's coming on, and it works great. In the second video, I had stuck this flat of annuals and perennials. Third video, similar thing. Almost all of these things are already rooted. I'll show you that in just a second. I stuck some camellias in the last video before this one. And in this video, I did 4 varieties of Viburnum that I'll show you in just a minute, and I'll talk through the different varieties. Whether it's the deciduous or evergreen Viburnum, all the cuttings look basically the same. They're all relatively easy to root. The best time to stick them is probably sometime between mid-June and about now in mid-August. So I'm on the later side of what I'm doing this year, just because it took me a while to get everything set up. But okay, so let's get to me showing you how to do these Viburnum, and after that I will show you the things that have rooted in here. So first of all, let me show you my new pruners here. I've always recommended this pair, and this is this one's the one I always have listed below all of my videos. It's great for repetitive work where you're doing cuttings and you're using them all day long. You can make thousands of cuts. This is an old rusty pair. And then I have this little teeny tiny pair of Corona snips here that I actually use to thin seedlings. This is just absolutely perfect if you put 3 seedlings in a single cell and you need to thin it down to 1. These little tiny ones are perfect for that, and they've lasted a long time because they always stay inside. And then, but this is the new pair I have. This is actually these are actually for grapes. They've got a little bit of a curve to them right there. You can see that. And so I'm trying these out, but so far I like them, and they're super easy to use. The first Viburnum I'm going to do is Viburnum nudum. This is actually a native to the eastern United States, up to Canada, down to Florida. I only have enough for 3 or 4 plants here. Actually, just 3, because it's a brand new plant to me. I planted it from a quart pot. It's grown quite a bit this year, but like I say, I only have enough for 3 cuttings. This is the same as I've been showing on everything else. You've got the leaves down at the bottom. I cut right below a set of leaves down here at the bottom. I'm going to take those off right there, and then I'll take this newest growth off at the top. This is still growing right now, and this right here, it will root this softwood cutting up at the top, but unfortunately all conditions just have to be absolutely perfect all the time to root softwood cuttings like that, and I find that it's just easier to root these semi-hardwood cuttings before the wood is old, but when it's firmed up just a little bit. So right there, I'm going to take 1 leaf off of the side here. On something with a leaf this big, if you want to, you can cut the leaf in half. Make sure your pruners are sterile. You can wash them in bleach and then rinse them off before you start cutting leaves in half like that. Fresh cut on the bottom. It got wounded when I pulled the leaves off of it, but if you want to, you can take the blade of your pruners and wound it a little bit again right there, and then I'm dipping it in that Clonex gel, and it's going into this spot right here. This is that tray that I did in the last video with the camellias right here. I'm just going to finish filling out this tray today, but this is going to be the exact same thing again. I got these bottom leaves, so I've got maybe 3/4 of an inch below that leaf node there, and it's wounded. When I just pulled that leaf off, it just peeled a spot right there. Taking the new growth off, taking 1 leaf off of that side. That leaf is small enough, I'm not going to worry about it, but I am going to orient the leaves in a way that I make sure that each of them are going to stay moist and they're not blocking one another. And this is the third and final Viburnum nudum right here. Fresh cut on the bottom. Take that growth off the top, just like that. If you want to, again, you can reduce the size of that leaf if you want to. I didn't dip that last one in the Clonex. I got ahead of myself there. Right there. Okay, pinch that in. So that's the 3 cuttings I have. I will go ahead and reduce that leaf right there, just so you can see that. But there's the 3 cuttings I'm going to do for the Viburnum nudum. So the next one I'm going to do is Shasta Viburnum, and it's the same thing. I came back and cut it about 4 leaves back here. This new growth up at the top is just too new, really. I'm going to take all of that out, just like that. I'm going to pull these bottom 2 leaves off, just like that. I'm going to take one of these off. That's a perfect cutting on a Shasta Viburnum right there. I've got a really nice plant in the front yard. I can get all the cuttings I'd want of this one if I wanted to. I'm just going to fill out the 2 spots where those Viburnum nudum were, and then 1 more row with these Shasta Viburnum. But this is the same thing pretty much over and over. I'm going to get it down to something that looks like this. Semi-hardwood right here. It hadn't hardened off completely. It's still pretty pliable. Cut it like that. Dip it in the Clonex right there. I can reduce the leaf size if I want to, if I feel like they're just going to impede one another, and dip it in there. And I don't think I put that one in the Clonex either. I'm getting ahead of myself today. But that's perfect. Okay, again, demonstrating that again. I'm going to pull these 2 bottom leaves off, cutting the new growth off the top, taking 1 leaf off, reducing the leaf size if you feel like they're too big and they're overlapping one another too much, dipping it in the Clonex and pinching it in about halfway down into that cell. And I'm going to finish out these last 4 right there. So Viburnums are a giant group of plants. This Viburnum nudum is actually a deciduous viburnum, white flowers in the spring. Well, they pretty much all have white flowers. And then this one gets a bluish berry on it. And like I said, it was native. Shasta Viburnum get beautiful white flowers in the spring, kind of grows low and wide. And now I'm going to do Shindo Viburnum, which gets gigantic and people use as a screening plant. But the cuttings are pretty much exactly the same. This is semi-hardwood cuttings that I cut right below. This is what, the 3rd leaf node back, and pull those off and wound it a little bit. And then I can take this top of this out where the new growth is, take 1 leaf off. And these are, the leaf is very vertical. So I'm just going to leave them in place. I'm dipping them in the Clonex and putting them in here. Shindos are kind of slow to establish. This is a slow growing plant initially. It's super fast growing in the landscape once it's established, but initially they can be kind of slow in the nursery business to get going. This one's got a gigantic leaf. So I'm going to reduce the leaf size on it. But if you're reducing the leaf sizes, if you're cutting on these leaves, pretty much any propagation you're doing, new pruners are a good idea. You don't want to be raggedy edges on things. It's just more places for disease to enter them. Again, here we go again, taking that bottom 2 leaves off. If it doesn't wound it enough, I'll wound it a little more. Top leaves off, boom, just like that. That's what that cutting looks like. And I'm just going to do a couple more here, and then I've got 1 more Viburnum. So the last one I'll do is one of my favorite Viburnums. This is David Viburnum, or Viburnum Davidi. And there's no difference here in what I've done on any of the others. I'm going to take these 2 bottom leaves off, wound it if it needs to be, if the leaf doesn't pull some of it off. Cut that even, take that new growth out of the center right there, and then take 1 of these leaves off. Very vertical leaf on it. I'm just going to leave it intact. It's the same kind of cutting over and over on all of these Viburnum, these different Viburnums. Like I say, David is one of my absolute favorites. Again, this one roots pretty regularly too. It's got these little nodules along the stems that root pretty regularly, or pretty easily. But again, just reduce that down to 1 leaf, semi-hardwood cutting, same thing, and in it goes. So I'm just going to finish out these last 3. They're the same as all of these Viburnum I've done so far. So there's the Viburnum on this end of the tray, and camellias on the other end that I had rooted in the video previous to this one. The Viburnum should root reasonably fast, and the camellias will take a long time. They have started callousing a little bit, but that's about it so far. Let me pull one of these hibiscus out of this tray. Look at those beautiful white roots on that. That looks fantastic. This salvia is rooted, but it's not rooted enough for me to pull out yet without tearing them apart, so I'm not going to do that. Let's see if we can get one of these potato vines to come out. Of course, potato vine would be the easiest thing in the world to root. But you see those beautiful, beautiful white roots on those. The verbena next to it is all rooted. I might be able to pull one of those out. I can. See those beautiful, beautiful white roots. So what's the real difference here in the way I'm rooting versus, last year when I showed, rooting in a plastic bin under your deck or in some sort of shady space? The real difference is consistency. All 50, 100% of that tray, all 50 things that I stuck into that tray have rooted. And you're never going to get that without some sort of assistance from a clock or from a electronic leaf like this. So that's the real difference that we're looking at. You can root all of these things, in plastic cups or in plastic bins and all kinds of different ways to do it. But at the end of the day, if you actually wanted to be consistent with it, a technique like I'm using right here, you can see on this basil. Basil's super easy to root, so I'm not saying that's hard to root, but you would never root, all 15, which has happened right there, without some sort of assistance like this. These verbena right here have rooted. Let's see. This salvia right here has not rooted quite yet. These were just stuck like a few days ago. See the roots coming on that verbena, or salvia, sorry, right there already. And I think that vinca vine is actually already rooted a little bit as well. So really, like I say, that's the main difference in using some sort of system like this, is that you're going to find consistency. So I'll have another video next week, and we'll go through another type of shrub or tree and end up filling this place out over the next few weeks. And you can see these things root as we go. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for upcoming content. Thanks for watching.